Saturday's card. This feels like an international fight week level card. There's a lot of intrigue here. Let's start at the main event. Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira coming off of his successful defense against Michael Chandler. Dustin Poirier, right? And we got Justin Gaethje coming in off of his fight of the year contender fight with Michael Chandler. What do you think, man?
There's just no way that anyone could bet against Oliveira. Like, he took the 2 shots. I just can't anymore. I did against Dustin Poirier, and I learned the hard way that you just can't bet against this guy. He's on a run. I think that there's just magic behind him, and I think he's going to get Gaethje's back. He really couldn't get it. I just really feel like he's going to get Justin. Something tells me like he's going to like grapple fuck this guy. And getting the takedown is going to be hard, but Gaethje's going to leave himself open to get choked or something, and he's going to grab his glove or he's going to do whatever it takes to freaking choke him out. I think that I have this weird feling that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, Gaethje has been insistent this whole time. He's kind of like reading off his usual script that I'm just going to be a wall of violence coming at this guy, and that's effective. I would have been a lot more worried about that after like the shots that I saw Charles Oliveira take against Michael Chandler, because I was definitely one of the people who was saying for a while that I think Charles Oliveira is a little too chinny. I don't think he's durable. I think he's still hittable, but he's a lot more durable than I was giving him credit for. And I think with that really ultra aggressive style that Justin Gaethje is going to bring, I think that there's going to be a lot of openings there. Across 25 minutes, it's really hard for me to imagine or to not imagine Charles Oliveira taking his back at some point. And right now, Charles Oliveira is at a level where he just needs one opportunity. It would be interesting to see what Trevor Whitman's going to bring to the table, if there is any kind of a game plan behind that promise of violence that Justin Gaethje says he's going to bring. But we're not really going to know until like halfway through the first round, to see like what kind of weaknesses that he's going to be attacking or if he's going to start coming with his leg kicks. But Michael Chandler had Justin Gaethje rocked also. And Charles Oliveira put Michael Chandler away. And I mean, I know that's kind of MMA math, but yeah. I can't shake that idea that Charles Oliveira has really been putting it together with his hands. And I mean, he comes out of the shooter box camp, so he knows aggression too. And I think we've watched him progressively get better at it. And it's been a slow growth, and it's been easy to miss. And I think it's surprised a lot of guys on his way up to the championship level in this division.
Yeah. And then one thing that we saw out of Oliveira and that we've seen out of him is that in that whatever chaos gets put in front of him, he can maintain his sanity and he can maintain his technique enough to get, because some of those punches that he lands are just like sharpshooter precision, like right where they need to be. No, so efficient, so clean, and in the middle of some really crazy spots in the pocket with some really good fighters, with some crazy fighters. The one thing for me that is going to be really interesting to see too, which just some of the, and I have to be careful saying this because like I can leave myself to sound stupid, but just when I've watched like watching the Gaethje fights, you know, whatever they have, like the last 3 or 4 fights, he swings so hard he kind of leaves his body out, or he kind of just like he goes for it. He's very like well coached, very well, like he has good, you know, technique within that violent style that he has, but he leaves himself open for knees. And Charles Oliveira is very good in the tie clinch knees. They're very sharp. They're right where they need to be. He gets right behind your head. He has really good. Weird how he sneaks in, plumb knee to the body, and then backs off. And then that shit. If Gaethje's like taking shots to the head, that's one thing. Taking straight knees to your liver, taking knees to your internal organ, that is pretty. And he leaves himself open for that.
And Charles
He
Oliveira
was,
doesn't need a lot of space to throw those, to hit those
yeah,
either. He'll hit them from the inside, off balance, going backwards. Yeah.
yeah. Everyone's talking about everybody, and it's like a joke already. It's like one of those Rogan memes where it's like, oh, Justin Gaethje's gonna chew that leg up. He's gonna fuck, and he will. Fucking Charles Oliveira throws some efficient, mean, and knees with purpose. And he's against Chandler, he was missing like flying knees, and I'm sorry, Chandler was missing the flying knees on Gaethje. He was doing that fake like in and then jump, and he missed like two. And he's so fucking athletic. It looks like a. He just looked so like a freak.
He's like a mini Yoel Romero, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And and Gaethje just kind of like he throws a swing and his shoulders are turned and he's like that and he's right there for it. And then he also kind of turns his head when he gets real tired. Well, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just hope.
Anybody's listening, like they're like, what is he doing?
even on the, even on camera, because it's just a chair for a little bit and like.
Yeah, it's just a chair. He disappears, dude.
And a puff of smoke. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
It's the cheap ass like 2003 family dinner chair that I can't get rid of.
The old reliable
The
man.
one that, yeah, the one that just has that weird squeak. But anyway, he just does that thing where he like, I forget that I'm not. Sometimes I just forget that I'm not just talking with you, you know.
Yeah.
But he does that thing, like when he blocks when he goes to stuff takedowns too. He really he really just he turns his head completely. Like you can't turn your head like that. I don't know shit. I don't know shit, but I know if you're fighting against a championship caliber mixed martial artist, don't like you probably shouldn't take your eyes off of them when they're like right in front of you. And he does that.
Very important.
Turn his head completely, and that's why he takes so much damage. And Oliveira's just gonna go, okay, well here's a knee to the kidney, and then what are you gonna do? And I think that's going to be something to watch. That's something I'm going to watch, are Charles Oliveira's knees. Everyone's going in to see Gaethje's being a psycho, Oliveira choking him. I want to see Charles if he does. And my luck, the way I do it, or the way what happens with me is he won't. But
He'll take his back round one and then rear naked choke him or something like that. I think that's interesting though, and I think that's a not like too crazy of a take because like if you would have told me a year and a half ago that if this fight was going to be booked, I feel a lot more confident in Charles Oliveira's ability to get it done on the stand up or to get a TKO. So like yeah, and way more than I would have thought back then because I would have figured the same thing. Like I'd see him by rear naked choke or triangle, by a nice buttery like fundamental triangle too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could happen. Against, I mean, we've seen him against Habib. You can tell he has this like, and against, I mean, Habib Nurmagomedov. It's like anyone would be like, I don't want to the ground.
I
Like,
you know.
I do not want to get on my back. Anyone would say that. And Gaethje looked so nervous. He didn't look nervous anywhere. He's a stone cold killer, one of the craziest fighters I've ever watched in my life. I've seen some crazy motherfuckers. This guy is fucking nuts.
His nickname should be Game Brit.
Yeah. He is nuts. Like he is insane. And since he's been like in the spotlight, and you can tell like he's sharpened he's like even more. He's because he's put in a direction like that chaos is just aimed. It's just aimed at people, and so that's even scarier because it's like there's a plan behind it, and the guy just doesn't care. But he looked scared to be on his back. He looked scared. He could stop the takedowns. He could definitely stop Oliveira's takedowns. I'm 100% sure he has the upper hand in that portion of the fight, but. Just something about it just seems like he doesn't want to get into a grappling match.
Mm-hmm. I never would have thought also around the time that Khabib retired that Khabib and Charles Oliveira would be like the fight that I truly felt like we missed out on, and we didn't even know it. Like I wasn't too worried about it. But yeah, in retrospect, man, we really missed out on that one.
That would have been a good one. That would have been this version of Charles that we're seeing right now. And who knows if it would have manifested itself if Habib stayed in, because you know things happen, and he does. What if he's not fighting Chandler, and he doesn't get that confidence, and he can't see what he's like in that in those moments, you know?
It's true. Yeah, there's some more like that's some like an attrition or an obstacle that he wouldn't have had like grown from on the way to potentially fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. But hey, we could speculate on that forever. But for this event, we have a co-headliner that is also for a title. The strawweight title is on the line. Rose Namajunas, Justin Gaethje's teammate, also with Trevor Whitman in her corner, is defending her belt against the inaugural champion of the division, Carla Esparza. I think she has the largest gap between when she lost her title and when she's challenging to get it back. When I say something like 9 years, pretty impressive. Definitely wouldn't have expected this from Carla Esparza even as recently as 2 years ago. But I mean, she's put it together. She's definitely had some dominating wins on the way up.
Yeah,
The only one I didn't necessarily agree with was Marina Rodriguez, but that was a close fight.
that was a very close fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a robbery. But hey, Marina Rodriguez is right there at the top of the division with her now. I think this is a really fun one. I'm a very, very known Rose Namajunas hater, but I got to be honest. I don't really see too many paths to victory for Carla Esparza here. She kind of has to put together the perfect fight. And do it for 5 rounds. I think that Rose Namajunas has grown a lot since their first fight. I think she has a lot more of a submission threat, and is just more capable of getting up off of her back. If that's where the fight, if Carla Esparza is actually able to get it there. What do you think about this fight, man? Where do you see it going?
As someone, you just said that you're someone who has your doubts about Rose, or I mean your biases, I guess, biases. I'm someone who like really likes Rose Namajunas. For a long time, I like the way that she moves. I like I like the way that she kind of like keeps it. Like her striking is really clean to me. I like the way it's something. It doesn't look like it would be the most powerful. Obviously, she's such a slight young lady, but it's so precise, so efficient. It's just one of those things that when you see it shocks you even more. Knockouts always kind of like surprise you from her. Like they really do. When she rocks someone, you're just like, damn. But the way it's just so. It's one of those things it's a treat to watch, like someone who's so precise like that with their hands and so efficient in the way they move.
Her timing really kills. Like she's gonna catch them coming in or catch them defending the wrong way and like create her own openings too, which is really dangerous. She's not just a counter striker.
And she really manipulates her opponent's movements with her deeks, with her own. Like she's always bobbing. She's not moving just to move. There's a reason why she's doing that, and I'm doing it again.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not so bad this time, but
there's a reason why she's.
It's not wasted movement. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, we've seen wasted movement a lot, and there's no way. I mean, not to say like it's like robotic or anything, but from what I see, you know, it's a stark difference than kind of just moving to move, because you feel like you have to be moving, where she's moving to get her to turn her head just a little bit, or she's getting her to move to see how she's going to react to if I cock my shoulder back. How is she gonna is she gonna dip in? Is she gonna back up? Then like she's just calibrating, and then that jab's always just feeling her. It's really good to see.
Really underrated footwork has Rose Namajunas.
And she goes for the finish. She's mean. She gets mean. Like when she sees someone who's like I can do this right now, she gets mean. That like those are those winning moments in fights. She's very good in those moments where like I can win. Let's do it. That's like a clutch, Gene. You like have to slam her on her head.
Yeah. And to that point, I was even thinking like, if let's say the fight does go the way Carla Esparza wants it to go, you know, she takes some shots, maybe gets her down in the second round, has to varying success, or let's say she keeps her there. She's able to shut her down for 2 whole rounds and hold her down. We know Carla Esparza is not exactly chasing a style of fight that's going to potentially finish Rose Namajunas. She's well known as a decision fighter. Do you think, like, we've seen Rose Namajunas fade late in fights though, really notably the Jessica Andrade fight? Do you think that the kind of game plan that Carla Esparza is going to bring to the table, even if she finds success early, is that something that's going to be able to wear Rose Namajunas down and keep her from being dangerous later in the fight, or test
I
her
think
heart?
an Andrade type of fighter would, but not a as far as a type of fighter. You know, like you said, she's a point fighter. She's going in there looking to win the rounds and kind of dominate the action with her own action and what, making Rose kind of, and you kind of got with a fighter like Rose, you can get lost in the sauce with that because she's always seems like she's a step ahead or she's doing that same thing, but she has that killer's instinct that can, like, because I'm not sure Carla can get her in a situation where it's gonna be like one punch away from like ending it or like a bunch of punches just to completely end it. She's gonna have to put together like some really, really, like you said, the perfect fight, and I don't think Rose is gonna fade cardio wise.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that style of fight being something that's really going to wear on her cardio and make her not really be able to answer
Leaning on
the
her
fourth
in
and the fifth
defense. I
bell.
mean, and if you start seeing it where she's leaning on her, she's making her defend takedowns. She's making her get up off with her or keeping her body weight on her. Then that could, but kind of hopping around the cage, in and out, in and
Hmm.
out, out, in and out, in and out. That's not going to tear that won't
Hmm.
tire anybody out.
If Carla Esparza had that Macy Barber aggression,
Right.
I'd be a lot more excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she
And with
doesn't
this
really have
one,
that bulliness to her. And I mean, maybe we end up sounding pretty dumb, or I end
I
up sounding
know.
pretty dumb saying that. Like, she just like
Yeah.
pounds the shit out of Rose Namajunas. But
Yeah.
um, hey, where's your money at on this card so far?
On Rose,
Yeah,
is my money on Rose?
yeah.
Oh man.
Is
It,
there any underdog money on Carla Esparza? I guess it's kind of late to ask that question, but
No, no, no. This card, the more I look at it, it's so funky. Like from a betting perspective, it's so funky to me. At least the like showcase fights, the last three are just kind of funky. Outside of Chandler,
mhm.
but and I really haven't looked at it because I'm just like so down in the dumps with my last parlay. Like going 7 for 8, and then
Tell us about it, man. Tell us
oh man,
because you sent me the text and I like it. I was more like, my reaction initially was like, "Ha, I knew you were Giannis in retail." You know what I mean? But
uh,
but later on, I thought about it and I realized the numbers that you threw out, and I was like, "Fucking hell, dude, that sucks."
dude,
Andre Feely, man.
7 for 8, and then the first because you pull up the fights, and then it has like Andre Feely over under 2.5 or over under 1.5, just depending on whatever they have the line as far as how long the fight goes. That was the first fight I picked. Like, okay, if I'm picking 8 fights and I'm trying to win, like that's a lot to look at and to like kind of pick. And like I already had a mental picture of what I was going to do. I just wanted to get the line and whatever. And Arlovsky, we always bet on him. I had bet Vera by decision. Uh, I'll have to look at it again. I stayed away from the Monzi fight.
Yeah, the Gina Mazzani. She got dropped by the UFC. She's
Yeah,
cut.
yeah. I mean, I like just you do everything perfect, and then like of all of them, and then the one that I was bummed out was, I think it was the earliest fight, is that Japanese guy. I've seen him fight a few times. He's really good. And I saw he was on there, but it got canceled for whatever reason. That could have been like, man. And I missed or I was like I was helping out. I was doing some like going in and out of the backyard, and I was like watching. And then I come back, and then like it was on commercial break, and I was like, why would it be on commercial? Oh, he fucking knocked him out. Like, nice, like at least, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then I just see him like shaking his head, waiting, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I was just like, what in the fuck? And then the rest of the card went the way, and I was just like, what the fuck? 7 for 8, $6,800, dude.
Hold on, I'm talking, brother.
The third fight, well, the third what would it be if it's like, because this feels like
showcase fight.
the showcase fight.
This is a show. I guess you consider it a showcase fight.
Because it's definitely a triple-headed dragon of a card.
This is the Blood Gods. We talked about it before, like the Blood Gods donation, dude. This is the like Aztec warriors.
Okay, I was really looking forward to talking about this fight with you because Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, Quetzalcoatl.
I don't know how to like say it properly.
Hold Tony Ferguson's heart up.
Hell yeah.
Son, and then just like bite it and then throw it on the mat.
To the sound of fucking freestyle music. You stand Tony Ferguson. So I wanted to approach this breaking down this fight a little bit differently and ask you, regardless of what your actual pick is, sell me on Tony Ferguson winning this fight, whether it's the truth or not. What is there? What is there for Tony Ferguson? How is he going to take this fight? Say you were the ultimate Tony Ferguson stan and you were trying to look at this through the rosiest colored glasses ever to try and figure out how Tony Ferguson is going to beat Michael Chandler. Like, how can you convince me of that?
His brow line open.
Do you think
there's just blood all over the center of the fucking mat?
Doctor stoppage?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, or the ref just like, he can't do this. You know, that thing's, you know, that's what I see. I can see him just forearms straight to the fucking brow line, just over and over again, because they're going to get real close. These two boys are going to know what fucking mouthwash each other use. These guys are going to get real close and into it. And at least you would hope so. Excuse me. But, sorry. But, that's what I see. You know, and that used to be the line on Tony, like, oh, he fucking sharpens his elbows. But I think that's how I can see him winning. It's just like in close, real dirty with the forearms, walking out of these wild exchanges, and kind of like elbowing his way out. Chandler slipping on something, and then Tony coming down and maybe raining on him a little bit with some elbows or knees. And hopefully getting a gash, like a super crazy gash on Chandler.
I've never been the biggest Tony Ferguson fan. I always felt like he was a little bit overrated, but I've always seen value in his unconventional style and his offense and his craftiness. And I don't know, like have we seen Tony Ferguson all the way out, like knocked like out cold? It's just been TKOs and submissions.
Man, what Gaethje did to him, was that what Gaethje did to him?
He had to wave it off because it was like too much. It kind of put him on his.
Yeah, it didn't feel right, and then it was like COVID, like empty arena, like meat on meat, like.
They mic'd that fight or those first few cards differently. There was something about the way they set up the microphones in the apex and around the cage where you could hear every shot so clearly. It was a really, really spooky fight, man.
Yeah, that one was for someone like me who like, I will watch some weird shit like and make me fucking laugh. Like the weirdest shit makes me laugh, and that just was not funny, dude.
Seeing Tony Ferguson kind of like have to wave it like a wounded animal who's like submitted, like that's defeat. You know what I mean? It's I never would have pictured it going that way.
That was so weird, and so to me, and it's so crazy that that's the lasting like image that we get.
Yeah, we can't shake it, and he's had two fights since then.
Get off your head, yeah. You can't just shake it out of your head, and there was such a crazy. There was such a crazy like energy behind him for like years there was just years like El Kukui, and that happened to, you know. And I think Gaethje's eating off of that still, and Ferguson is on the downward spiral still from that. That was such a like a blood god sacrifice, dude. Like, here, dude, the guy's career is forever changed. He's never going to be right. Like, if he, it's questionable whether he was before or not. That's not me, not definitely not for me to say, but no one could be in their right mind, like, go back to being normal after taking that kind of beating.
That's a fight that'll change you. This is a tough fight for both guys. These are fights we don't really see the UFC put on too often, unless I'm like my memory is kind of betraying me. But if Michael Chandler,
a lot more of these fights with the news that came out today, we're going to see a lot more of these fucking fights.
Because if Michael Chandler loses this fight, he'll be on a 3-fight skid, and if Tony Ferguson loses this fight, he'll be on a 4-fight skid. So it's a rough position for both guys. Like, normally for some talking points, I would probably bring up like, who has more to lose in this fight. I think both guys have a lot to lose in this fight.
These guys have fought everybody. Like, everybody. Like, they haven't lost. None of these guys have lost to suckers. Like, neither of these guys have lost to, like, they've been in like the craziest fights you've ever fucking seen, and they've lost to guys that are world class, like world freaking class.
It's crazy, like, how much of Michael Chandler's career was in Bellator. He had a career in Bellator that would span the length of like multiple UFC fighters' tenures, like in the UFC.
Yeah. He
and he fought everybody there. He like any lightweight.
Bellator, dude, to me, like, that's when I think of Bellator, I think of Michael Chandler.
That was the guy for a long time. That was their Chuck Liddell, basically.
Yeah, I love watching it. I would not watch anything else on there, but I would watch a Bellator fight or a Michael Chandler. Like, I didn't even care who was fighting. He had some great fights in there, good and bad, but man, he took some shots and came back.
Exciting things happening at the top of the lightweight division. Unrelated to this card, because I think we'll pretty much just cover the main 3 fights of the main card.
Yeah.
What do you think about some of the fights that have been like semi-confirmed to be happening on International Fight Week? The Chimaev versus Nate Diaz little sneak peek that we got, which I don't even know what that was pulled from. Yeah, the Blood God sacrifice, exactly. Is Khamzat Chimaev cashing his ticket, or punching his ticket to a welterweight fight with a win over Nate Diaz?
You would think so, and that's like the automatic, like, knee-jerk reaction, but like, he just went through a crazy ass fight not that long ago. Like, I feel like that's not between like the damage he took, the shots that he took to get right back, and then he could very well be a different fucking cat. And he is, but just to like lace it up in fucking July,
get like back in there. July, that's a very quick turnaround. Soon. Yeah.
And for anyone, I mean, props to him. And then Nate Diaz hasn't fought in how long? And it's like, okay, you want to talk shit? You want to turn down these fights? There you go. We'll see you on the 2nd there, bud. Don't go dying on me. Like, you know what I mean? You know, like fuck you. Like, imagine that's like when you get like ghosted, and then like you're saying stupid shit by being ghosted, and then like the person that you're trying to get their attention is like, you have it, and here you go. Fuck knows. Enjoy it. And like that's wild. And then one dude, you like when you see these dudes stand together, like, it's gonna look odd. Because, like,
they look like different animals. Like
concave chest, that vegan like vibe against a dude who eats organ meats. I guarantee you, Hamza eats fucking liver and fucking crazy shit.
Like, back to what I was gonna ask you. You had this bloody hot take that you said you wanted me to remind you about how like you would restructure the UFC if you had a magic wand. And
out of my mind, driving with no music or anything in my head, And then I sat in my house in the living room, TV off, hearing like humming, and I was just like running through my mind. And it got brought up today. You shared a story with me that Dana was talking about, like fucking boxers are fucking overpaid, and how am I supposed to fucking feed other people's fucking families when I gotta pay this fucking guy? Blah, blah, blah.
We gotta get it. We gotta keep the lights on. We gotta keep things running. Yeah.
Yeah, how does how does fucking boxing do it, Dana? How do they do it? Because they're doing it. You know what I mean? They don't like Warren Buffett isn't giving them the money. They don't have some fucking benefactor that's paying it. They pay their own bills, you know. And it's sponsorships in a big like sponsorships really run that like Bud Light and like the they have grandfathered in sponsors that will carry some of that cost
Mm-hmm.
and like kick cash in for these huge fights.
That kind of that money that those kind of companies, like sponsors, can bring to the table foots a lot of the bill.
Yes.
Like it's
Okay,
crazy.
thank you.
So
Thank you. So and Dana has a issue. He has a real problem with streamers, right? That's a real problem. We're talking about like 400,000 pay-per-view buys, and he's like bragging about it. That's not a lot. That's not. But when really there's probably millions of people watching it on their phone at fucking Chili's, or you know outside talking with their family. They don't want to be there, but they've got the fucking phone on, and they're just like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
Well,
we should watch some
okay.
fights at Chili's on our phones one of these days.
Yeah,
That actually sounds
yeah.
pretty fucking fun.
Wonton tacos.
Oh
Oh,
my
that's
god.
Applebee's.
They're kind of interchangeable to me, but yeah, the southwestern egg rolls, whoever has those,
Uh,
about it.
I think that's BJ's, no? Or BJ's is the avocado egg rolls.
The southwestern egg rolls is definitely one of Applebee's or Chili's, but
One
I
of the
forget
two.
which one. Yeah, it's
They
been a
could
while.
only them could do that.
Mhm.
Um, but so what the basic thing is that you're not leveraging fucking eyeballs and like what those eyeballs end up doing. And so what Dana can't I don't know if he I'm sure he does in some way, but like he could say like, look, these fucking streamers, they're kicking our ass. You know what I mean? I thought I caught the guy. I did. It turns out it was more than one dude. But
Shocking.
if if it's a fucking race car style fucking where everything's up for grabs, you can fucking pay like the fighters fucking shorts, the fucking fighters fucking walk out. But you do it. I'm not sure if you're aware of like and of F1 like Formula One racing, like we talked about earlier, like Formula One racing, right?
Mm.
So it's not so much like you have the NFL where it's like you have the Raiders or you have in the Lakers in the NBA where it's a team name. It's brand names. Brands pay, and it's auto racing. So like Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Honda have teams, and then they have second rate teams, but they are like Red Bull, right? It's so why not have team MMA where it's like team Nike? Nike hires, and then so Mercedes has a guy who is their like team runner, right, for vehicles. So he's an engineer. He fucking from soup to nuts to managing the drivers, managing the talent, how they're trained, and there's interchangeable people. There's like a pit crew, obviously. There's guys who take care of like the parts. There's guys who take care of the engine. Like it's all like that. So Nike can come in, bankroll something huge. Like Trevor Whitman's gonna run Team Nike. Trevor Whitman's gonna bring in Dwayne Love. Trevor Whitman's gonna bring in all these guys, and then for each weight class you bring in, so we talked about him. He has Usman, Rose, and then you have like all these different. And then can he recruit the top guys in each weight class? So then it's Team Nike is going up against Team Adidas.
Who's paying
And
everybody though? Like who's
like
when the fights happen? Is it all?
Nike's no Nike pays for them to train. But Nike pays that premium because all the eyeballs are on Team Nike,
Mhm.
and they're basically and it doesn't have to be Nike, but it's just I'm just using a huge athletic company because Ferrari owns a team in Formula One,
Yeah.
right?
Like, or
So
like
like
how in NASCAR it's like there's all the, the sponsorships all over the car and stuff like that. So, but
right. Yeah. So it's like a hybrid thing. So like, and then then on top of that, there are sponsorships, and then like you get like, you got like there's like side like junior partners where like, so Nike, like for a Ferrari, most of them work with Puma as their like, so Nike's obviously gonna make their own clothes, but you know, Nike and Team whatever, you just have all these different sponsorships. It kind of floats. You kind of like, you're gonna bring in more top tier talent, like boxers, medalist wrestlers, if they know there's Nike money on the line. If you're looking for Dana to pay you, you're not gonna fucking want to show. You're not gonna want to like jump right out of the Olympics or jump out of boxing to come over. But if you know, like, fucking Team Monster Energy is gonna pay you, and then you get paid per person, and then you make it more of a like a points thing. Like there's champions who, like, if Team Nike has two fucking champs, then like they're gonna have to fight each other, but it's a team based thing because there's something about that tribal thing where like, you want to see this brand or this team fight against this team, and you know, um, I don't know, Team Trisket has fucking Volkanovski on it, but they're weak up. And like it's like a points thing. So there's like a points fucking scoreboard, and then there's individual champions per weight
boy,
class.
sounds like a lot already.
It
I
does,
do have
man.
to ask: does in the way you're envisioning this, is it still
Yeah.
operating off the pay-per-view model? Like, is it still like as far
No.
as
And then you bring that. Thank you so much for fucking bringing that up, because then you get it like an NFL situation where there's bidding wars because for these fucking for these fucking for these fucking shows, and you can put it on NBC, ABC, like Saturday night, like the Saturday night fights. And then you can even get European like BT Sport, and all of those to get
mm,
involved and like pay for the right to put that on. So like CBS pays for the NFL, Fox pays, NBC pays, and they get their time slot. They bid on it. Thursday night football is with Amazon now, so like they came in, they bid, they put that together. So then you can let these companies bid for the top fight. So like, say like Fox doesn't really care to pay the huge money for the big like fight week or international fight week shows, but they'll pay for like the contender series, or they'll pay for whatever version of it the contender series is under this, and then you will let CBS, Fox, and all these other, whether they do or not. I mean, now it's mostly like Apple TV.
mm,
You got Amazon Prime.
the Hulu
Let them
fighters?
bid it. Yeah, let them bid it out for the right to, and give them each, like, you get this, you get the European cards, you get this, you get the Abu Dhabi cards, and then
I think one interesting bit, started to cut you off a little bit, but
no,
I just kind of want to
go ahead.
talk about like some of the things that definitely sound very exciting to me is like I really do like the idea of big companies coming in and being able to kind of like share in the expense, but
Yes,
also facilitate fighters having a little bit more of a glamorous lifestyle if they're not pulling the kind of
yes,
numbers that they get in boxing. Because I do think that that is when I mean, some people will like. I think what a lot of people worry about and what Dana wants people to be worried about is that dudes won't be hungry when they make more money. Like they won't the whole silk
it's
sheets thing. Like
yeah, it's hard.
these
I was
fighters
just
are
gonna
gonna.
fucking say it's harder to get up and
But
run when you're wearing silk pajamas.
exactly. But I think also though, like when you take away every other fucking distraction, and these MMA fighters, plenty of them in the UFC, are still dealing with a lot of little daily life distractions that
Yeah,
like really high level fighters really shouldn't be. And I think that's when you start to get truly special fighters is when they can
yeah,
strip away everything. They got somebody handling their nutrition. Like
yeah,
it, like they have an interesting thing going on with the PI, or at least some fighters really seem to be talking it up. Some people kind of like that, where it's like, this is just business, and they're here.
yeah,
Like, I don't really know how the PI functions, but like,
yeah.
if you can have that for everybody to the 10th degree, you know what I mean? And just take care of all that stuff. Like, that sounds very interesting to me. But
I think Also, like, there's so many guys in the NFL who are just world class athletes. They're super good. They don't really want to be there, but the money's so good that they do it anyway. There's so many guys who could fight that would be fucking awesome that maybe just aren't built for it, but would really bolster a roster because they're just so talented. But they don't. Why? What the fuck do you want to go get your ass beat for fucking 8 G's?
There's some stability in like making it onto a practice squad for an
Yeah,
NFL team, you know.
and then I'll tell you what, dude. Like they say that about the NFL. Like, do these guys stay fucking? They stay 102. I mean, MLB $200 million contracts. These guys fucking, they're hungry, dog.
I think one interesting bit, sorry to cut you off a little bit, but
No,
I just kind of want to talk about like some of the things that definitely sound very exciting to me is like I really do like the idea of big companies coming in and being able to kind of like share in the expense, but also facilitate fighters having a little bit more of a glamorous lifestyle if they're not pulling the kind
yes,
of numbers that they get in boxing. Because I do think that that is when you, I mean, some people will like. I think what a lot of people worry about and what Dana wants people to be worried about is that dudes won't be hungry when they make more money. Like they won't the whole silk
it's
sheets thing. Like they're
yeah, it's
they're
hard.
these
I was
fighters
just
are
gonna
gonna.
fucking say it's harder to get up and
But
run when you're wearing silk pajamas.
exactly. But I think also though, like when you take away every other fucking distraction, and these MMA fighters, plenty of them in the UFC, are still dealing with a lot of little daily life distractions that
Yeah,
like really high level fighters really shouldn't be. And I think that's when you start to get truly special fighters is when they can
yeah,
strip away everything. They got somebody handling their nutrition. Like
yeah,
it, like they have an interesting thing going on with the PI, or at least some fighters really seem to be talking it up. Some people kind of like that, where it's like, this is just business, and they're here.
yeah,
Like, I don't really know how the PI functions, but like,
yeah.
if you can have that for everybody to the 10th degree, you know what I mean? And just take care of all that stuff. Like, that sounds very interesting to me. But
I think also, like, there's so many guys in the NFL who are just world class athletes. They're super good. They don't really want to be there, but the money's so good that they do it anyway. There's so many guys who could fight that would be fucking awesome that maybe just aren't built for it, but would really bolster a roster because they're just so talented. But they don't. Why? What the fuck do you want to go get your ass beat for fucking 8 G's?
there's some
No one.
stability in like making it onto a practice squad for an
Yeah,
NFL team, you know?
and then I'll tell you what, dude. Like they say that about the NFL. Like, do these guys stay fucking? They stay 102. I mean, MLB $200 million contracts. These guys fucking, they're hungry, dog. And like
Mm-hmm.
to know that that's a possibility, and then not only that, like you have to walk through the guy ahead of you to get to like, say you're fighting for team fucking. Um, it's not like and Formula One they have the same thing. Like Mercedes and Ferrari and McLaren are the top teams that everybody wants to, and there's only two fucking spots to drive, and everybody needs to get on there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's guys that are auditioning every week because they want to get on there. They're fucking going hard because they know that's where the money's at. They know that's where like, the endorsements are,
How
and
do
so
you
you're gonna get guys fucking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, you would definitely get a lot more guys transitioning over
See, and
from, but
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I think that, and Dana would never do it because he still runs. He's like a old school Boston strip mall, shake you down for protection money mentality, and there's, and and it's the problem that we have in our country. It's a problem that you run into with capitalism, is where like I have the monopoly over this. Yeah, I could innovate, and yeah, I could fucking turn it into something amazing, but why give someone else the fucking opportunity? He runs
mhm,
it like Pride Yakuza style.
yeah.
It's still very old school. He can control it. He knows how to control it. He has that control and he does it. But if you allow like these crazy multinational organizations to come in and go like, well, Dana, why you didn't show up to the press conference for what? Or you didn't put the belt around your heavyweight champion?
Something was going on backstage. What could have possibly
Yeah,
been going on
yeah.
backstage that only you can
He
attend to?
doesn't
Yeah,
fucking deal with that,
yeah.
and what's insane, and he's already has more money than he could probably ever fucking spend. So like, what does he care? But like having that type of innovative strategy to where it's like, well, let's bring in these. like Nike has no Nike or Gatorade or these athletic companies. They can wake up and fucking develop storylines. They can market athlete like getting out of bed. They can do it, and
There's a
they have a
lot.
way of
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot more variety for promotion and different style of promotion that you can get. If I get really excited when you mention things like Red Bull, like the Red Bull
Yeah.
League of Fighters League or some shit like that. Not
No,
necessarily
that's
a
just their
league, but
team. Like
yeah.
Team Red Bull going up against going up against Team Venom,
Hmm.
and it's just like, oh shit, fucking Max Holloway was like supposed to sign with Team Venom, but he's like headlining for Red Bull now, and
Team
like
Spam.
yeah, and like Henry Hooft is coaching now. Now Henry Hooft is coaching for Red Bull now, and like how is that going to change with all these other fighter styles, and is he going to be able to do that? And
Hmm.
like you get like those built-in storylines to where now it's just like because there's so much. I feel like there's so much of that, and
One thing that I do think that you would definitely have to address right away. I mean, this is all just like fantasy, basically. The UFC
yeah,
would never do it, but the part of it that would bring a lot of people concern is that it sounds like no matter what, there's going to start to be like potential for dudes to just not be able to fight each other. Like there's obstacles being put
right.
up,
And
like
that's what
because
boxing has.
how's
Yeah,
it going to work if two guys are fighting for the same like
but if it's
fight team? But
if you put it on a right, but if you put it on if they're fighting for, but if you do it team against team, promotion against promotion, but you have like the team numbers and then you have the individual because so Volkanovski would be the champ. Say he's on Team Adidas, right? And say Team Adidas has Holloway too, and then they just own that fucking division. They're just,
hmm,
but you get like having the belt, like the way you would weight the points would be like per fighting against someone who's worth like per fighting or winning in the top with wins in the top five against top five guys. And so if you're just beating these other teams' cans, which and padding your stats, you can never as someone who maybe doesn't have the champ or even someone in the top three, but they've beaten so many guys in the top five and the top 10, they can fucking be right there.
hmm.
Maybe see that's the thing where I would have to work that. You'd have to work that out in
It's
your
tough.
like conflicts of interest because there's always going to be roadblock with
It's
whatever you want to do.
it's really really tough because like at the end of the day, combat sports is such an individual like
Yeah,
endeavor.
yeah,
Like the team thing, I know it's far from the idea of like IFL, like team MMA thing. It's nothing like
yeah,
that. But like the whole idea of MMA teams is weird. It feels kind of like, I mean, I say that, and yet there's literally like Team Trevor Whitman, who like entire
yeah,
cards are built around his main staple of fighters. But you
yeah.
don't get, and
ATT.
you get some other like clicky style gyms, but they're not necessarily managed by the same people. Even though there's like, yeah, it's a trip. And you have some places where they have attempted that, like the Black Zillions was like,
Yeah,
it was all basically just one manager's fighters fighting under one roof. They tried that experiment to its fullest to mix results. I have an interesting thing that I've always thought about too about how to rework rankings. This is not similar. This is much more small scale. Like it's not like I think this could actually be done. And I think the fighters. I don't know. You tell me if you think the fighters might be for it. Is instead of having your traditional rankings like 1 through 10 or whatever, you put fighters into tiers because
yeah,
fighters are very like literally any two guys you match up, you can always run into that, oh, this guy's ranked behind me, like I want to be fighting up in the rankings. You throw them in tiers and make dudes have to like reach a certain level or milestone of success to reach the next tier, then you're in that pool of guys that you have to fight,
you can,
no
but you
questions
can,
asked. S tier
and
fighters, which is basically
yeah,
like the top 10. Like you can't turn down any other S tier fighter matchup or whatever. Like, and if you can afford to lose in the S tier, but that doesn't mean you'll be knocked out of the S tier automatically.
get relegated.
Yeah.
Like you get like in soccer where like if you don't play at like within this line,
Hmm.
like you're still a soccer team or you're still a soccer player, but you have to play against those tier guys, and then you have to win that championship to get to where you are.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
And if
And
you're
like,
if there, I'd imagine it being like, and really only maybe like two tiers,
yeah, and
but
that's what F1 has. They have F1,
mhm.
F2, and then there's like a, and so there's like, oh, the guy in F1, he has to go down. You know, he just can't get a seat,
Mhm.
or he can't get a spot because he didn't fight in that. So he's down in F2, and he's kicking the shit out of everybody who signs him. Like, look how good he looked. Who signs him? You know,
Yeah. So
like,
I imagine like S tier fighters, which would basically be, let's say, the top 15 of any given division,
okay,
and A tier fighters, which is everyone else. Um,
yeah,
and you have to, like, if you want to move into the S tier, you just have to fight and win a certain amount of A tier fights. You fight like four A tier opponents in a row and you beat them, and you can shoot into the S tier. Or,
make it more clear cut. Because
yeah,
like now it's like we're talking about like basically you beat Nate Diaz, you get a title shot. Kind of deal. Like, why is
also,
it like that?
yeah, also that at the end of the day, injuries still happen, fights still get
Yeah,
canceled. It's not going to change any of that. So
right.
if an S tier fighter has an S tier opponent that is injured and has to fall out, if an A tier fighter is available and they choose that A tier fighter to go up and to fight into the the S tier, they can earn their way instantly into the S tier like that. But that S tier fighter isn't necessarily at risk of losing their rank, But I mean, unless they actually are, unless it does like work out that way, or they're on a losing streak or something like that. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and call it, man. I will talk to you either Monday or Tuesday next week. We will recap UFC 274 and everything that goes down, and hopefully have some more fantasy catchy cards for all of you. So,
Oh man.
so until then,